another great edition of Mississippi Stories. I'm your host, Marshall Ramsey, editor-at-large at Mississippi Today. Of course, you can see some of my cartoons as well. Hey, by the way, go to MississippiToday.org. We have great coverage. We covered the state. And of course, get to check out all the great work the team does as well. And you can see previous episodes of Mississippi Stories as well. Our guest today is somebody I bumped into the other night. He's okay. I just want to let you know because I'm a pretty big guy. I need to lose a few pounds. He's funny and he's got a heart. And he did a great job emceeing Mississippi Today's live event the other night where we were telling stories and he was telling stories. So I wanted him to come on here today and tell some more stories. I guess the first time I saw Merc B was on Kevin Hart's episode with my good friend Rita Brent, who she was on there. I was excited about Rita, but I got to know him a little bit and got to hear a little bit of his comedy, and I'm a big fan of his. So this is kind of a treat for me as well. I don't know. Should I read the bio and we go on about 30 minutes of all the stuff that you're doing right now, or I'll just have you tell it organically? Merc B, welcome. I'm glad to be able to talk to you.
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. Good to see you. I mean, I know in whatever this virtual world is. Right. Yeah, I know. Even though we saw each other like a few days ago, it's good to see you. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me. Definitely. I appreciate it.
Like I said, I'm a big fan. You're doing a lot of different things right now. And I mentioned Rita. I texted her this morning and said you're going to be on. And she was excited about it. And I summed you up to her this way. I said, he's funny, but he's also got a lot going on inside too. I mean, it's comedy with heart and brains. And not that, there aren't a lot of comedians that have got that, but you've got that special gift. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. My goal is always to edutain people. And I think as a comedian and even just as an artist in general, in whatever genre of art that you have, I think it's important to educate and whatever your feelings and your soul should come across in your gift and your craft. Same way when you do your cartoons, like I can literally feel what you're feeling like, and it's a lot of time. And it's crazy because a lot of times looking at your cartoons, even as a comedian who's good with words, sometimes we struggle trying to figure out how to say things in a way that people can still resonate with them and not be offended, because comedy can be offensive. And then you'll drop something and I'm just like, you know what? He drew it like I would say it. And so let me just post this instead. Let me just post this instead.
Glad I can help,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think you're touching on something really important. And it's something, I mean, you probably figured this out when you were at Southern Miss, and I did when I was at UT. The professors I learned the most from were the ones that were interesting and they were funny and they could tell a story. And, and I think it just, and I've got a cousin that does a talk radio show and he's very successful at it, but he entertains people. And I think as people, we want to be entertained. We don't want to be educated, but if you can educate somebody at the same time, that's where the gold is.
Absolutely. And so with entertainment, it's really, that's how we get you in. And so if I'm entertaining enough to you and I'm interesting enough to you and I have enough of a personality to where it's going to keep your attention and draw you in. So now I have you here. And so now I can really get to talk about what I really want to talk about. Entertaining people really is just a way to get them to trust you, because you want your audience to trust you. And obviously, when you're on that stage doing comedy, people think that they really want to laugh, but what people really want to do is get to know who you are. That's really what they want to know. Now, if you get a laugh in the process, that's great. Like that's definitely great, because that's what we're looking for. But at the end of the day, it's you want people to get to know you. Obviously they want to get to know you, but you still want to get to know them as well too. And so when we're on stage and we're telling these real life stories crafted in a jokingly manner, people can relate to that. And so, we say a lot of things that people want to say but don't feel like they can say. And so we're kind of like, the voice for them in a lot of ways. And so I take it as an honor and a privilege to be able to do this. I work hard at it. Is very, very difficult. You have no idea how difficult it is to make people, because some people show up to laugh and then there's other people you have to make them laugh. And so you have to find that balance somewhere in there. And luckily it's been successful for me. So
I don't know about what you when you're on the stage. When I'm on the stage, and I don't do stand-up comedy per se, I do speaking, but I generally kind of look around the room, and it seems like I always manage to gravitate to the one person who look like that their hemorrhoids are flared, and they just found out their dog died, and they you look just like somebody who hit their sister, and I mean, you just that look, and you think of what's going on in this person's life, and you suddenly make this goal. Okay, I'm going to make this person right here
this
laugh.
person.
And then they come up afterwards. Oh my God, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So you realize, well, yeah, you probably did have the hemorrhoids thing going. But I mean, do you do that when you're on stage sometimes? Do you pick out people and like, nah, I'm going to make that person right there laugh?
Absolutely. And it's more so because you really want everybody to be engaged in the process of whatever it is that's going on. And it's important to read the room. Like, it doesn't matter if you're speaking in your case, or if you're, like you were telling stories the other day. It doesn't matter. It's important to read the room. Like, I actually got there. That's why I get there early. Every comedian is different. I'm one of those people. I want to get there before the event starts, because I want to see the room. I want to try to feel the energy of the room. I want to try to feel like what exactly, because this was my first Mississippi Storytellers event. And so I was like, okay, it's important for me to get here. And shout out to Mary Margaret. She's amazing. And she kind of prepped me and briefed me, because she said there are going to be some really heavy stories. And so for me, it's like, okay, all right, so I know I have this gift where I can make people laugh and all this other stuff. But the gift of laughter doesn't always resonate depending on the type of story that's being told. And so you have to kind of go with the flow of whatever the energy is. And so that's kind of the pocket that I was in the other night. You get these really heavy stories. And so you just have to be obedient to whatever the spirit and the energy is, and just kind of go with it, and then we can laugh afterward.
Right. But here's the thing. If you were a baseball pitcher and you could only throw fastballs, you wouldn't last long in the league. And that's the same thing
not at
with
all.
like cartoons. And you had a particularly heavy story with Anna Wolfe, who gave a very moving and emotional story about a person she'd been covering who went through some really tough stuff in her life. And Anna got emotional and everything else. Well, if you'd have gotten up afterwards and started telling jokes, you'd have looked like probably the most insensitive person this side of me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and that's like when I got up afterward, it's like, she needed that release. And you never know, you never know what everybody else, because somebody can relate to that story in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not the story specifically, but we all know somebody, that we've kind of invested in emotionally, and they're going through something, and we can all resonate with that. And so let's all feel that emotion with her, to let her know that she's not alone. And because I cry too. Comedians cry all the time, trust me. After we have a bad show, it's a lot of tears and you want to quit. But
the old saying, all comedians suffer. I mean, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
But you find that, and I don't know about your case, and I mean, I've always found that some of the best humor comes from some of the darkest moments.
It does. That is where really the best material comes from. I tell people all the time, like, Rita and I, we talk literally in some way, shape, or form. We communicate like every single day. And we have like, and we have like the best job. You say you're so sorry. Trust me, I'm sorry sometimes too. But that's my sister. I love her. But
no, she was my radio producer for like 5 years.
Right, absolutely. So you feel my pain then, so you understand. But it's like we have the best job in the world. Like, I literally get to go to therapy for free.
Yeah.
I literally get to go to therapy for free.
Hey, quick question. You're not your brother, are you? I mean, because
I am not.
Yeah, you have a twin that you do work with, Cocky McFly. And I give your parents credit for going from Kelly to Carrie, because I got 3 boys. First 2 had the first letter was D. And by the time we got to our 3rd one, we're like, the hell if we're going to keep this up? I can't keep everybody straight. How did your parents keep you straight? Because you guys are like literally spitting images.
So my brother, he tells it really funny. He always says, he's like, I probably could be Kelly, but I don't know. She told me I was Carrie, so I'm Carrie. She knows. Sometimes she knows. Sometimes she doesn't. And then it's just twin or boy. But she's awesome, man. She's amazing. So she's the best. I know everybody says that about their mom, but my mom really is the best, though. So she really is the best.
Well, I mean, obviously having two boys at the same age at the same time, she has the patience of Job. So I got to give her.
Yeah, man. Like, and she was like, "Listen, I'm done." Like once she had us, she was like, "It's over with." Like people were asking, like, "You gonna have kids again?" It's like, "No, I'm, one, like, well, two and done." It's like
Yeah.
pop, pop. 5 minutes later, it was over with. So yeah, it's it. It's just us.
I mean, comedy. I don't know if you were funny as a kid or whatever deal, but you obviously were not going comedy as a route to get a mathematics degree and a minor in computer information. So that
Absolutely not.
yeah, that's not going to technical school right there.
Absolutely not. I've always been entertaining.
Yeah,
I'm not the funniest person in my family. I'm not. Like I'm from a family of very hilarious people. Like they are characters. Hopefully, if I make it big enough and we can get us a show, and I can literally show you how embarrassing these people are in a good way, though. But
yeah,
yeah, man, I've always been entertaining. My brother actually was the first person that I saw perform on a stage that I had a connection with. Obviously, you see the Eddie Murphys and all these other people, the Richard Pryors, all the legends, Red Fox, all these people performing on the stage. I would watch those things, but that was never really anything. I was like, it was never like I want to do comedy. It was more so I want to entertain in some way, shape, or form. And I just had an opportunity to do it. And so I was like, hey, once I found my comedic voice and who I was on the stage, because you go through that process of trying to figure out who you are. And it's a very tedious process. And it's an ongoing process, which you have to accept that as well too, because we're humans, we evolve every day. And so your art's gonna change with you. And once I just, was comfortable with who I was, I mean, it was over with after that. Once I found out I was funny, and then like one thing is being funny. Like you
yeah.
can because that's really the goal is for any comedian. Like you have to be funny first. Like I'm a funny guy in natural general conversation. I'm a funny individual. I had to learn how to do comedy
Yeah.
and learn the art and the craft and like fuse those things together. So when it kind of goes left sometimes, I can always count on just being me because I'm naturally funny. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. So
The first time you got up on stage and you were, I mean, like I said, you didn't have your tight 10, you didn't have your routine. You got up there, but how did it go over? And I mean, because for a lot of people, getting up in front of a group of people would be right behind a root canal on things they
oh
want
yeah,
to do. What was that like? That first experience getting up on a stage?
it was terrible. It was absolutely atrocious. And listen, comedians will lie to you. There are comedians who will tell you that they have never bombed. It is a bold faced lie. It
Yeah.
was terrible. So first of all, I did not go by Merc B Williams when I did my first show. I went by my first name. I went by Kelly Nash, my government name. I went by that name, which is funny because so I actually did a room in Hattiesburg, booked for a room in Hattiesburg. These people never seen me before, ever at all. They're thinking Kelly Nash. And so if you think Kelly, obviously you're going to probably think, if we're profiling, you're going to think hot blonde is about to come to this stage. And
Like
so
me.
when I came,
Oh,
yeah, there you go, like you, more brooding. Well, you're kind of more chestnut blonde.
I'm working on it.
you know? And so it was so funny because when I came to the stage, there was like this. I knew I still did my set, but I just knew it probably was not going to go well because when I came on stage, it was just like this look like that's Kelly. And I'm like, oh man. And so I went through my bit and man, I have to remember who the comedian was, but I hated it because like nobody said anything. So I didn't get booed,
Yeah.
which I would rather get booed than people not say anything because the goal is to get some sort of reaction. Because like if I don't get anything, it was literally crickets in this place, and then it's in a bar, and bars are busy,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well this guy ain't funny. We're gonna watch TV and keep drinking these beers, and you can get heckled at bars as well too. And man, I think I sweated out of my sweatshirt that night, and I literally was like, okay, I don't know if I want to do this, but it's the rush from being on stage. I was like, you know what, you got to stick with it. And so it's worked out, thankfully. But yeah, that first time it was terrible. It was absolutely. And then I changed my comedy name, so it's like I can't go by Kelly anymore. That's not going to work. So
Where'd you
Merc
get
has been.
the name from?
So Merc is actually it was given to me by a good friend of mine. His name is Kendall Patterson, who he created this cartoon called Slam Evil, and basically drew all of his friends and gave them names. I was mercenary because I'm the protective friend. And so obviously I'm Black, and I have to have a last name to let you know that I'm a Black man. So Williams kind of fits. The B is I can't say it just for viewers, but B is my favorite curse word when I do use it. So hey, you got Merc B. So it's Merc B is it's easier to say. It's so crazy because like he used to write this cartoon, so I used to be angry a lot. And so I just parlayed that anger into comedy. So now I'm angry on stage in a funny way, I guess.
Back up for a second here. You said you wrote a cartoon.
He wrote it. I did.
Oh,
no,
he wrote it. Oh, yeah. Okay.
He wrote it. No. Oh no, I don't listen. I know my
didn't know
gifts.
if you had that secret superpower.
And no. I know my gifts. I stay in my lane. No,
well,
but I can give you some.
Awesome. So I was just curious. So.
Oh no, not at all. No, but it's crazy because I mean, and I tell people all the time, like I'm a huge fan of yours as well too, and we talked about this a lot as well. And so I was really excited to actually meet you in person. And I'm inspired by artists in general, just art.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm just inspired, and a lot of times it's hard to be encouraged and inspired if you're just around your art all the time. If you're around comedians all the time, like it's hard for me anyway. And so when I find that block, a lot of times I like to be around other artists that do other things and watch how they, operate in their craft and they apply that work ethic. And that's inspiring to me. And so it kind of opens me up to be able to go and create. And so being in that space, in that place with you and those other people, man, that was amazing for me. Like I literally went home. I was like, yo, this is good. Like, let me go and write and get this good energy out. So
I was too. And I don't know if it was I think it's just a combination. I'm with you. In fact, I probably will bring myself a little too much into this interview because I'm completely fascinated with creative people. And I love to hear how they tick and compare it to how I tick, and how I come up with stuff. But that night, and I think it's because for the last 2 years, we've been dealing with, Zooms and sitting in our house and my dog's talking now to me as well as me talking to my dog.
And understanding them at this point.
But being around the people and feeling that energy again and hearing Anna and Vicky, who I don't normally hear get up on stage and tell stories, just knock it out of the park, and that was there was just so much beauty that even Mary Margaret had jokes.
Yeah, she said, I got my cards. I was like, okay, you got cute cards. Okay.
I mean, I expect any day now she's going to come in the office and say, I'm heading out for the Chuckle Club.
Listen, I told her she can open for me. She can open for me. Yeah,
I think she's got it.
Going on the road. Yeah, she's got it. She's funny. She doesn't know how funny she is. She's hilarious. She really is.
No, she and it was just funny. I mean, it was really good. But you're right. I think that energy of just being around and just getting to meet you. I mean, I thought you did such a great job being able to like literally surf the wave of the emotion going on, between each different speech. I have to admit, when I was my first speech, I gave a speech about Hurricane Katrina for those who have not seen it, and about a particular cartoon I drew about that situation. And I'm sitting there doing it and nobody's laughing. And I'm thinking, I'm bombing up here. And then I'm remembering, oh, wait a minute, this is about Hurricane Katrina. I don't really want them to laugh during this. Otherwise they're sadistic. So it was kind of a hard thing to try to read that, but you nailed it. Your first time you got up in front of people, that had to be terrifying, but I remember Rita, when she really got started, I've never seen anybody so methodically plan out her exit for a job to a new career. I mean, she had steps. So she had to get to each step before she could move forward. And,
Right.
she would go speak to small like churches and, small rooms. And then she sold out a room at the Alamo, which was amazing, and it was not just her friends. It was other people it was just fun to see her. And then she got her big break on the Kevin Hart thing, and you did too. And
Right.
then it was a reminder that sometimes your big break isn't necessarily your big break. It just means you need to even work harder. And that's what's happened with
Absolutely.
you, right?
Absolutely. And so everybody's path is different. It's
Yeah.
very, very different. Um, I admire Rita a lot. We always talk like she works the hardest out of all of us. And she does. She's just really meticulous like that. She's
Yeah.
always been like that. It even, I don't know if it was just her or maybe the military made it that way. I don't know. But she's always like that.
Have you
But
met her
I'm
mom?
more of a, yes, I have.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
that
have.
explains a
Yeah,
lot
so
of it.
yeah, that explains a lot of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So um our energies kind of match each other. Um, because I'm more of a free spirit.
Yeah.
I'm more free. And sometimes when you're meticulous and methodical like that, you need free spirited people around you as well too. They can allow you to open up. At the same time, being around someone like her, it encourages me to be more structured
Mhm.
as well too. And so it works. The
Yeah.
energy always works. And she's an Aquarius, I'm an Aquarius, and we're a few days apart. And so it just kind of all works itself out. So it all works itself out. So and so for her, um, I think a lot of what she did, was it's actually what she's doing is just absolutely amazing. And I had the same exact opportunity. Um, but it's still been successful for me, but just successful in a different way.
Right.
That's all. And I think a lot of times people just we get stuck in this comparison mentality
Yeah.
to where we measure others' success based on the success of others, and so we'll look at that and say, well, you may not have done this, this, and this, but like I'm literally booked. I've literally been booked consistently since that appearance. I've been to states that I probably would have never been able to go to or travel to in my life and performed in front of people I would have never ever been able to meet. And I don't think that any of that, and doing other even opportunities such as this, like none of that happens to me. And that's from doing, because I was already doing the work prior to 2017 when it happened. And
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of that happens as far as like the exposure that you have without that Kevin Hart opportunity. And so, those opportunities will come, the bigger ones and all of that other stuff. It's just important to keep working to be prepared for it when it does come. So,
I think what you're doing is important. I mean, like I said, I in no way whatsoever was
yeah,
comparing
absolutely.
your career to her career necessarily,
Right.
because I think number one, I mean, she's got such a strange skill set anyway that she can play off, but
She
you've
has
got
she has a lot of
a
them,
lot
like
of
a
things.
lot of
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how your singing and drumming is, mind you, but
it's not good
yeah,
at all.
I understand that. But that said, I mean, you're a heck of a writer. You're a heck of a podcaster. You bring a lot of depth to issues and do it in a funny way. And like I
Right.
said, so I mean, it's like it's just fun. I mean, like I said, just watching you the other night, and going back and watching your YouTube stuff and seeing, listening to the podcast and everything else. I mean, you just turned 40, so you're
Yes, I
young.
did.
Yeah, you're still young. But I mean, like I said, somebody once asked me about that, about my career, and it's like, I think when I quit fighting it and quit worrying about it is when it seemed like more things started happening.
That's where I am at this particular
Yeah,
point. Like everything is like literally, and it's happening like a lot. It's happening like really, really fast. But things happen like that when you get out of your own way.
right.
And a lot of times we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to things like that. So yeah, man. And like I said, like and I love that we are always excited for each other.
Yeah,
Like we're always excited for each other. Like that was my friend before we started doing comedy. And
yeah,
so I'm a fan of my friend, and we celebrate each other's successes. We help each other out too, which is great. 'Cause she's like, "Hey, I can't do this gig. Can you do it?" Sure. I don't have anything this day. Or I'm like, "Listen, I got to go to this place. Can you gonna be in town?" Like, yeah, I got you. Like, it's just again, we don't worry about. Listen, you have to, especially as an artist, you have to. You got to have tough skin, number one, but you really have to just be focused on the gift and the anointing and what it is that you have to offer. Like I could have, I had an opportunity to move, but I chose to stay.
Yeah.
And it's because I love my home state. I love my home area, specifically Greenville. I'm from the Delta, so I love that place. And I love Jackson, and Jackson has gravitated and welcomed me in for the time that I've been here since 2009. And I feel like, as artists, it's important for us to do the work that needs to be done here in this state. To let people know that, hey, you can make it on this national stage, and still be here. Like I still live here. It's like the same people. Like you may see me on TV, and then you might see me in Kroger. 5 minutes later, getting my ground turkey and stuff for my meal prep, and that's super cool to me, because I don't ever want to be so big to where I'm not accessible to people who need me. And so man, I'm grateful to I'm grateful. Like, and I rep Mississippi. Like, I love Mississippi. This is where I'm from. And it's funny too, because when we go out of town and we meet these people and they're like, and they see that you're hilarious, they do not automatically think that you're from Mississippi. Like, where are you from? I'm from Mississippi. Like, you live there? Yes, I do live there. Yeah, I promise you, it's more than just, cotton fields. Like, I promise
It's
you.
kind of interesting. I mean, I had a chance to move. It was to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was, I mean, no offense to Tulsa, but when you go in the airport and they have a big clock that says Tulsa time, you're like, see what you did. I kind of felt like that maybe here was better for editorial cartooning than there. But that said, it was they were nice folks, and it would have been a good move, I guess. Where was your move to go to?
Dallas. So actually, I had a couple opportunities. Atlanta was one. Recently, it was actually Dallas. So now I had kind of settled on, all right, I'm gonna go to Dallas. That's gonna be the first stop. And I'm a firm believer in, like, where you go is not always where you have to stay.
Right.
So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go to Dallas. I had it planned out. I'll go here. I'll be here for a few years. We'll see how it works out. Have some connections out there. And then I got an opportunity to stay. Opportunity was offered to me to stay in Mississippi. That was
Good.
too good to pass up. And so, yeah, I'm just going to stay here. But those other opportunities in Dallas and those opportunities in Atlanta and these other places, they're still there. So there's nothing that's stopping me from traveling to do what I have to do, like being booked in those places. So, and it's always good to be able to come home, to have like this safe space, this resting place that's here. And like, I know it's cliche to say, but there really is no place like home. It really is not. So when I'm out there on that road and all of that stuff, I love it. I enjoy it. And it's a blessing and a privilege to be able to do what I do. But man, I'm ready to come home though, so I can recharge.
I totally
Because coming here and being around the people who love you and appreciate you and that are proud of you, like that's the battery recharge that you need to go out there and keep pushing and doing what you do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I don't know about you, but one thing I've found about Mississippi is that our arts community, and I mean the writers, the musicians, the comedians, just everybody who has the courage to get out there and put themselves out in a public eye, right? It's unlike any place I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in San Diego, I've lived in Houston, Texas, good places, loved them. Out in California, everybody wants to be famous. And so they're basically
everybody.
They're clawing all over each other and working at SeaWorld, cleaning, trying to, to make their big break. But the thing is now with technology and like what we're doing right now and podcasts and everything else, you can do what you need to do here and get noticed.
Exactly. And so that's why and then it's like, again, man, like just piggybacking off of the comment about just the Mississippi arts community, like we really have like this love and this camaraderie for each other. Like we're always, even in maybe in public or in private, but we're always encouraging each other. Like if we see each other doing something, like, man, that's my guy Merc. Like, yeah, I'm happy for him, and and vice versa. It's always that kind of energy when we all see each other. Like it's just something about when you're around other artists, especially, and even when I'm going out of town, like other states, and you meet artists from Mississippi, it's like, oh, Mississippi over everything. Like, okay, what part of Mississippi you from? And then you start talking like, well, do you know this person? And you may know the same people. It's like, well, listen, I'm out here, hey, whenever you come out here, I got you. And it's just that connection like that, man. It's just, I don't know if anybody else anywhere else has what we have. Like we literally, it expands, color barriers, all of that stuff. Like we all literally, and I'm telling you as an artist who is living this, like we literally all look out for each other. And I've never experienced anything like that ever. I'm from the best state in the nation. I don't care what anybody says, I am. And we got like the best arts community ever, like everything that's amazing about arts in the history of this country is all derived from here. It's from this place right here. So yeah, I'm from Mississippi and I'm proud of it. So
I've always told people that, people always ask me, why is it that Mississippi produced such a great artist? I said, well, it's the same reason that oysters create great pearls. There's that irritant and that grit that, we have to try to, because all a pearl is the oyster trying to cover up something that's irritating them. We have so much, tragedy and hurt in our history that literally, we wouldn't have the blues, for instance, if it wasn't for the pain,
right.
the racism that went on in the Delta, and so but it makes for better comedy. It makes for better stories. It makes for better drawings. I mean, I thought I'd be here 2 years and I'll be here 25.
There you go. And see, and you're a Mississippian now. I don't care what you say. Like, so at this point, yeah, you paid enough taxes to where
I've had enough broken windshields. Yeah, I'm definitely.
If you hit enough potholes too, so you definitely are Mississippi. You hit enough of those, but yeah, man, it's like, and then especially like with comedy,
Yeah,
we really have had to. Comedy is something that like in Mississippi is still a baby in the comedy industry. We're still a baby. I know that we have the Rita Brinch and we got the Merc B. Williams and the Nardo Blackmans and so many other comedians that are, and Marvin Hunters, Carlos Miller, J.J. Williamson. I could go on and on and on about amazing comedians from the state of Mississippi. We have all of these people, but it's because we literally had to create the space for us to do that. Chuckles just got here 2 years ago. There's a one other comedy club that's been here, Mike Town Comedy Club, Mike Townsend, who's another comedian as well too. So he has a comedy club that's been here for a while, but that's literally we've had to like do comedy in restaurants and bars and try to create these spaces to be able to let people hear our voices. And a lot of times, like, man, we just started getting paid. We just started getting paid, but it's never been about any of that. It's just really about the love for the craft and the art and knowing that you have something inside of you that needs to get out. And you need to let people know that Mississippi got something to say. And so that's why the comedy here is like, we got the best comedians in the world. I take my comedians over anybody's any day and put them up against us. Like literally it's gonna be, it's gonna be a wash. We're gonna kill them. It's gonna be bad, but healthy competition in a way. But that's honestly, and I think that's why comedy is prospering. And what excites me is that there are a lot of younger comics that are coming up that are from here who want to get involved in the art now that they've seen people like us be a part of something as big as Kevin Hart's Hart of the City. Like you could be from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, and be on Comedy Central. Like that's something I can always carry with me for the rest of my life. So
that was a really good episode too. I felt like we held our own on that one. Y'all did great. I'm just sitting here watching Rita going, oh my God, I am so proud of her. But then, like I said, y'all were fantastic. Y'all really were.
Absolutely. And and obviously you guys don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and just being able to, speak with Kevin and meet with him and, him talking to us, obviously what you guys saw on camera, but, the way that he poured into us off camera as well too. And was super encouraging. And, Joey Wells and Pookey Wiggington and all that, Heartbeat productions team, and everybody was amazing. We got a chance to meet people, executives from Comedy Central, and, those are connections that we literally all have to this day. In the way that myself and Ben and Marvin and Rita, we all were encouraging each other backstage, because let me tell you, we were nervous. We were super nervous back there. because this is, it's a huge opportunity. You never think that there's something like this is gonna, when you start doing comedy, everybody has that goal to kind of do something big, but you don't think like, it's one thing to do it big, but we didn't have to go to them.
Yeah.
They came to us. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway for me, that if you have something that the world needs to see, they'll find you.
Yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere. They'll find you. So,
one of the, not to get too Dr. Phil on you, but
no, you're good. You're good.
No. I mean, I just thought, and I can just tell you from my situation that one of the things when I was a kid, being able to draw pictures was, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, but I knew I could draw pictures and get attention. So, right. So that's a great way to end up with a career. And that's what happened with me. But then if you have that lack of self-esteem, say, you'll end up shooting yourself in the foot, when you get to a certain level on that. A lot of people don't understand that comedy comes from some kind of internal pain a lot of times. Do you ever feel like that there are times when you have to watch yourself to make sure that you don't, because to push yourself to get on the stage the first time probably took effort, and then the second time, and then on a bigger stage. So when you're sitting there with Kevin Hart and you're doing that and you're filming it, there's probably, I would know for me, there would be something in the back of my head that says, man, you're not really worthy of doing this. Did you ever have those kind of issues?
Through the whole process, really, to be completely honest, like through the whole, because you're in it, but you're like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And you want to try to tell yourself like, oh, I've worked hard enough. Because when it happened for me, I had only literally been doing stand-up. Now I was hosting shows forever,
right?
But like I was literally only doing stand-up maybe 2 years, 2 or 3 years at that point. So for me to be doing stand-up that long and to basically parlay that into a TV opportunity, there are comedians out here who have been doing this for 20 plus years and have never gotten that opportunity.
Yeah.
And knowing there are comedians out there, like personally, that, have worked hard and are super duper funny, but have never gotten this opportunity. It's just one of those things. When it's your time, it's your time. And when preparation meets opportunity, you're going to always be successful. And it was tough. It was tough because, like, again, doing comedy was an escape from, I grew up in the Mississippi Delta. We didn't have a lot, but we had a lot. It was one of those things, like, and I feel like my childhood was absolutely amazing, but, I was in a neighborhood where it was, nobody really had a lot. Everybody kind of depended on everybody, coming from a single parent home, father not necessarily, in the picture, those kind of things. And, being teased and ridiculed, and everybody gets teased, growing up, but, you never know subconsciously how those things affect you. And so you have to find these positive, and it's hard to talk to people about those things because we're all going through the same situation in these neighborhoods. And so what is my way to cope and deal with this? Well, I could dance really well, and I knew that I was funny. So I knew I was entertaining. So let me do these things that make me happy. And then learning how to be funny without necessarily making fun of people. Because we all start off making fun of people because we're playing the dozens with each other. It's just, we're ribbing each other. That's what you do. But then the older that you get, it parlays into, okay, now I'm just being funny. Now that I know that I'm funny, I don't have to be funny like this. Even though I can be, I don't have to be. And it's just continuous therapy. That's all that it is. So I'm grateful for the stage. I really am. I would say it's free therapy, but they're paying me now, so it's good.
Yeah, that's the good part right there. They're paying you.
Right, yeah, they're paying me now. So
You really touched on something about the making fun of people, and it's, obviously I do that with my cartoons. That's what I do, but
I love it.
I think, well, that's political. I mean, that's obviously, but I don't make fun of the guy that's down the street that's working hard and trying to do that. I make fun of the guy that's in power. It's a totally different situation,
right?
For the most part. But yeah, now I completely get that, and I completely understand. But by you being funny and you telling stories, and you're telling stories that other people are going through, you're in a way, you're helping them. I mean, you literally are on, you're almost like a missionary in a way. You can get up on stage and you can help ease people by A, by making them laugh, but B, by maybe showing them, well, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can get outside of my pain too. And maybe things that I grew up in a tough situation and look where I could go. You know, I mean, like I said, it seems like that you really bring a lot of positivity in the world with what you do, whether it's your podcast or you're standing up and so forth.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And it's about being vulnerable. And that's really the biggest key to being comedy is just, or being an artist in general, is just being vulnerable and letting people know it's okay to be vulnerable too. Like it's perfectly fine. Comedy for me is I mean, people judge, this is what it is, but it's a safe space. It
Yeah.
is. And so if you come to a show and Merc B is on the bill, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is the first thing that I ask the crowd to do every time. I'm just going to ask you to check your energy. Just give me your energy. That's it. That's all I want. And if you give me your energy, I promise you, I'm going to give it right back to you. And we're going to be vulnerable and free in this space right here. And I'm going to talk about myself, like, again, because who's better to laugh at than the person that you look at in the mirror every day? Like, and so I'm just gonna let you know, like I laugh at myself, and you can laugh at yourself too. And we can laugh at the world because it's funny. It's so fun. We live in a funny place. It's funny. Everything is literally material. It's literally material. It is. And I love that people watch. Humans are hilarious. We have no idea. Like, it's a beautiful thing, man. So I got the best job in the world. I really do. Like I have literally had the best job in the world.
Do you like go to cups and sit there and watch people and kind of jot down?
Absolutely, yes, indeed, yes. Like I literally would go to Cubs and I would sit outside and just watch the people. Like I would watch the people in Cubs. I'd watch the people that would walk by Cubs. Then you got Fondren Fitness and all. You got the workout buffs that are going in there, and I work out a lot too. But if there are people who are really like really for real about it, and you watch them, and they're looking at us getting coffee with their noses up, like we're going to work out. So we're going to get coffee and caffeine and put this bad stuff in us. But so you got your workout snobs, and it's a lot. Like especially just anywhere in the city, just in general. Washington is definitely a funny place. It's super eclectic, so you're gonna get a little bit of everything down there. So I definitely people watch. I used to go when I lived in Hattiesburg. I would do this every Saturday. I would go to Turtle Creek Mall. When I got off work, I was working for C Spire Wireless at the time. I would go to Turtle Creek Mall. I go to Auntie Anne's, or whatever, however you say it, and I would get a pretzel, sit in the middle of the mall for like 2 hours, and I would just eat my pretzel, sip my lemonade, and people watch. And I would go to the open mics and talk about everything I would see.
Oh. Do you ever
That
come
was
up to you going, "Hey, that's me. Hey, what you? That's not funny."
No, that never happened, ironically. But that was the way that I started working out because I didn't know how to write. I didn't know
Yeah,
how to curate a joke. And so that was what I would do. I would just go and talk about the things that I saw.
yeah,
I'd make little notes, like so I wouldn't forget, like, oh, lady in red dress or man in white shoes or something like that. And then they would just click and I just talk about it the way that I would just talk about anything. Um, and it just, you learn trial and error. And
right.
then you get mentors and stuff like that too, which everybody should have one of those.
I was going to ask you about that because I mean, it's for what you do and what I do is very similar. I mean, there was no editorial cartooning school. At the time I got started, there were less than 200. Now there's maybe 15 in the country. So it was like you weren't going to go learn how to be an editorial cartoonist. You just basically looked at other editorial cartoonists and saw what they did, and then you did it every single day. It sounds that way about, and just talking to Rita about that too, writing jokes.
Mhm.
You find comedians that you like and you see how they structure their joke. You might read a book on joke writing. I don't know if that even exists, but you just do it. Who are some of the comedians that really inspired you and that you've been able to model your career after?
So like I'm mostly inspired by the people that I have access to. So my brother was the first person, and meeting Rita and myself and her and Nardo Blackman, who's also an amazing comedian as well too.
Yeah.
And then parlaying that success into, obviously you go back and Richard Pryor might be considered the GOAT of comedy. I'm sure Chappelle fans would have a lot to say about that, but from an impact standpoint, and then you go look at the Eddie Murphys and the Dick Gregory's, obviously Chappelle that was aforementioned.
Yeah.
And so for me, the biggest thing was like, who is doing this that's successful, that's from where I'm from?
Right.
And then you go and you look at the Bo Peas and the K Dubs and the Marvin Hunters and JJ Williamsons and all of these amazing Carlos Miller, who I mentioned before, all these amazing Mississippi comedians that are doing this. And like, how do I tell this Mississippi story but my way?
Right.
Being from, like, I'm from the Delta. Like, if you know the history of the Delta, yeah. And so I just want to be able to tell my story the way that I tell it. And again, there's, like you said, there's no school for this. Like, there's no comedy school. They got books, and YouTube University, it's free. So you could always go there. But
yeah, you got to be careful about it sometimes.
You really do.
Do your
it's
research.
Literally trial and error. It's literally, I'm gonna go and get on the stage, and you're gonna get your feelings hurt a lot, like a lot. And there's always going to be this nervousness when you perform. Like, you don't know, you prepare the best that you can, and you don't know how this is going to go, because you can't necessarily control how people react to what you have to say. But for me, I rest in the fact that I know that I've done the work. I know that I'm doing the work. And I know at the end of the day, the guy that's on the stage is authentic. And this is really who I am. And so I can sleep at night knowing that, hey, that was really, I'm going to always give you 110%. It's always going to be me for real. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm not trying to be Eddie or anybody. I'm trying to be, the best Merc B that I can be. And hopefully that encourages people to be the best them that they can be, because that's really all that you can kind of control. So.
What type of, I hate to use Dane Cook as an example, but I remember
I like Dane.
No, I do too. I thought his original stuff was really super funny. He's still funny too. But I remember at one point he said that he started reading Time magazine every day and everything else just so that he could expand his breadth of knowledge. And I would think, as a comedian, you have to do that. You just have to feel like you have to be literally the jack of all trades to be able to, because at the end of the day, comedy doesn't work if there's not a degree of truth to it.
Absolutely. Or a whole lot of truth to it, actually. Right. And it sucks because we want to unplug, but we can't.
Yeah.
So you have to find that, as an artist, you got to find that balance with, okay, I know that I have to be abreast of what's going on, but I need to take the time and unplug too, so that I can be able to create the best way that I can as well, because it can become super overwhelming. And then, as an artist, you understand, like, which I despise, I absolutely hate it, but people love to try to tell artists how to be artists, or tell me, like, don't tell me how to create my art. Like, that's my personal property. Like, let me create the way that I want to create. Now, if it's for you, then great. If it's not, then I understand it as well too, because a lot of times people know how to give criticism, they just don't know how to give it constructively. They think it's constructive, but it's really super negative and derogatory.
Let's stop there for a second though. But how long did it take you to learn to be able to accept constructive criticism and be able to tell the difference between it and just negative criticism? Because that's hard.
Well,
it really is.
It is. Yeah. And in the beginning, you think everything is constructive because you don't know what you're doing. So whatever anybody is telling you, you're going to assume that it's constructive. Once you start doing this for a while and you figure out that you're pretty good, then your discernment will kick in and you'll understand it, like, hey, dude just hating. You just hate. You're not criticizing me, you just hating on me at this particular point. And you don't understand why. But you shouldn't care either, because hey, that's just people. And a lot of times, once you realize people are projecting most times when they do certain things,
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, cool, and brush that off. Like you gotta. Kevin Hart talks about that in his book. Like he has the shrug mentality where he just shrugs stuff off.
Looks good too.
Uh, it is very good. And so he just shrugs stuff off, and that's kind of the mentality that you got to have.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to be receptive of that criticism too, and know that, because you can tell when something's coming from a place of love,
Yeah.
and people want to really see you be the best version of you that you can be.
Well,
And
yeah,
as
like
long as you
if
have
your
those type
brother
of
busts
people
your
around.
chops. I mean, you know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the day. We're talking about a sibling. That's
Okay,
different.
yeah, that's true.
That's different. I don't know. It just depends on the day. Because some days, he'll give constructive criticism, then other days he hates. So you just never know.
How did you cope through the pandemic? Because I mean,
Oh man, it was tough.
I found
It was tough.
myself falling into a really dark hole, and it was being, I'm sitting there drawing cartoons about life and death stuff every single day,
Yeah.
and then I see, comments from people that I used to think were sane on social media, and then oh yeah, I can't get out on a stage and can't get my feed from, literally the energy from people. I found myself sinking down, and of course, you got to be out there hustling and figuring out how to make the cash register ring.
Man, listen, it was thank God for savings.
Yeah.
I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But it was difficult, obviously, and I won't. We all got hit economically. We all did. So everybody did in whatever way, shape, or form. So it was definitely difficult financially and all of that stuff. But artistically, it was hard because we live for that energy.
Yeah.
We do. We live for that energy to feed off of people and being in front of a crowd. Like there's nothing like that genuine response coming from a crowd. And you can't get that anymore. And now you have these virtual gigs. And so, and there are a lot of different types of virtual gigs. They're funny now, but man, it was a struggle at first because I'm literally doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And you don't know if anything that you're saying is funny because you got like 65 people and you're looking at all of their faces. And now you got to look and see if you're getting laughing emojis or not. And it's like, man, this lady didn't laugh, but I see her chuckling. Like, I don't know. And it's because you're trying to go through your set, simulating an audience being there. And it's weird. And then even when you're doing virtual shows at the comedy club, because nobody's at the club. It's just you and maybe 4 or 5 other comedians. They're out there, and you got the staff that's there, that's recording, but like there's nobody there. And so now you just are talking to a camera with no feedback. And it's yeah. But I'm grateful for it because it opened up another avenue to be able to do what we do and be, and it be monetized. So, and it's one of those things where you got to adjust and adapt and do what you got to do. So, and again, goes back to what we talked about before, expanding the opportunity to be able to do this from where we are. So I can do a show in LA and not have to go to LA. I can sit right here.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best part. No doubt.
Yeah. I can sit right here. I can save gas and airfare and money and all of that and do the best 15-20 minute set of my life. But when you see it, it's gonna say, oh, he's in LA at this place. But like I'm literally sitting in my room doing this show.
But you think about it. I mean, Merc B, I'll be honest with you. You think about, it has trained you to be able to do stuff like this, to be able to do interviews, to do radio shows. You're doing podcasting now. I mean, it's
Right.
it's opened up new opportunities once you get past the, oh my God, this is terrifying because I'm getting no feedback whatsoever. But you learn how to speak into a microphone instead of speaking into an audience.
Right.
So it's in a way, I think that would be the silver lining on this deal. Tell us a little bit about the podcast and the things you've been doing.
Yeah. So yeah, we myself and my good brother. Well, he's not my only brother, but my identical twin brother, myself and my brother Cocky McFly. So we have a podcast out now. It's going to be available on all streaming platforms soon. It's not on all of them yet, but right now you gotta watch it on YouTube or listen to it on SoundCloud. We have some lives that are up on YouTube as well too. It's called the Vibe Controllers. That he came up with the name. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I was like, yeah, that's the one, because we are a vibe, and we control it when we're wherever we are.
Yeah.
And everybody's a vibe controller, and that's what you want to be. You want to control the energy in your space, in your place, and give out the energy that you want to give back. And that's what we try to do with our podcast. And we talk about a lot of things. Obviously, we're going to get more into like maybe some serious topics and things maybe going on world issues. I think this first season is really centered around you guys getting to know who we
Yeah.
are. Because we look alike, but we are not the same. We're not the same. We are literally two individuals who happen to have the same face. That's literally what we are. We agree on a lot of things, but we have some similarities, but we definitely are. Yeah, we go back and forth, but it's super fun, and it's exciting because people get to see him as well too. And I'm glad that people get that opportunity to know that, I'm hilarious, but I have somebody else who looks just like me who's super hilarious as well too. And then we're hilarious together. And it's super lighthearted, man, and it's amazing, and it's a lot of fun. And it's nothing for me. The biggest, obviously, I feel like it's going to take off and do some amazing things. But the biggest thing for me, man, is I just get to do it with him, and so that's the joy of being able to do something and build a different genre or a different genre in your brand with somebody that you love. And so it's been amazing. The feedback has been super duper cool, and we got merch coming, and so I'm excited about that, and ways for people to get, like, if you want to do sponsorships and advertisements, we got stuff like that that's available for people if they want to do that. So, and it's just, creating your own lane that's available to you. I've always wanted to get into podcasting. Stephen Brown, who goes by Fifth Child, an amazing rapper right here out of Mississippi, man. He approached me with an opportunity.
I've had him on
Amazing
the radio show. He's great.
Oh yeah, super duper great guy, man. And we had talked about doing a podcast for a long time, and so he just kind of was like, "Hey, man, what we gonna do?" And I was like, "Yo, this would be super duper cool if I could do this with my brother." And he was on it, and like literally once I told him, he was like, "This is what we're gonna call the podcast. This is what we're gonna do." And so we got super excited, and it's been cool. We're 9 episodes in, so all the episodes, well, all seasons are going to be double numbers. So episode 11 will wrap up season 1, and I think what my suggestion is, we'll probably try to do a live episode, maybe virtual and in person, with like limited people with pandemic, and obviously want to be safe with that. But yeah, you can follow us. I was gonna say that's a lot, but
I'll put a link into it in the
okay, cool.
this.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. And I don't want to be too chatty about that, but yeah,
That's what this is
cool.
about, man.
Oh, cool. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited about all of that. So yeah, guys, definitely take it. And then listen, you can email us as well too, man, at the vibecontrollers@gmail.com. We welcome that feedback. Again, we're new to the podcasting community.
What's
So
your
any
Venmo?
feedback. Yeah. Oh, do we got one of those?
No, I just guess it's just so people can send you some.
I know. I was like, do we got one of those? Nah, but yeah, listen, seriously though, if you any feedback or if there's anything you want to hear on the podcast, we're open to all of that, because again, we just want to grow and we want to get better, and we welcome all of that good love, feedback, and that energy. Like, we welcome all of that. Absolutely.
It's funny when I do the radio show, I'll have more questions. It'll be a little bit more hard thing, but when you do this sort of thing and do like a podcast, it's just fun to just have a conversation with people and talk to them.
It is fun to have a conversation with people because we don't do a lot of that anymore.
No,
I do a lot of that anymore.
We do a lot of this.
We do a lot of this. We do a lot of this. And it seems like, every day, every year, we get farther and further away from communicating effectively. And you can see how it's kind of having an effect on, the world as a whole, and all the issues and things that we have. And I think a lot of things can be solved if we just communicate effectively, and people just had a space to kind of like get out whatever it is that they feel. And I think podcasts are kind of that. I know for us, we wanted to create something that wasn't necessarily like everything else that's out there. Podcasting is great, and I'm just happy to be a part of the community. But we're twins, and there's not a lot of twins out there
That's your niche.
that do this
That's
stuff.
it.
Yeah, that's down there like the
Uh-huh.
niche. And so yeah, we just want to be able to kind of communicate with the audience and have them communicate with us. So just building, I don't even want to say a fan base because it's more of a family. We want to build a family of
Yeah.
people to just kind of like, hey man, you're riding in the car one day and you're on a trip, like let me turn the podcast on and
Yeah.
listen to this, especially during Thanksgiving. You should. That's one of the funniest ones. That Thanksgiving
Yeah.
episode was hilarious. Because we're now that's one thing that we agree on. Thanksgiving is the greatest holiday ever, and it gets zero respect because y'all want to put your Christmas trees up
Yeah.
and play Christmas music on Thanksgiving. Like that's not the best holiday ever. So
Oh, I
give
always think,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, Thanksgiving I'll be 365 days a year. Other than fact, I'd have a heart attack from, eating that much every day.
Right.
But I mean, the whole
Exactly.
gratitude part, which I don't think we do terribly well anymore in this country. So, but
Oh yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
that's my. Now you talk about the podcast, and I think what's really great, like I said, just getting to know you just in the last couple times we've met. I mean, that's at the end of the day, you find out podcasts are kind of voyeuristic because they're just long enough and enough personal stuff out there. You get to know people and you feel like you know them.
Right.
And so, and then if you come to me and say, you know what, Marshall, this is what's going on in my life, and I'm going to like go, oh, okay, well, yeah, we've got enough stuff in common that I know how I'd feel if that were going on in my life. And that's how at the end of the day, we get the problem solved. It's called empathy, which
Right.
you don't really get screaming at somebody on Twitter.
You do not get that. And I don't know why
No.
people, I don't know why people text yell. It's the funniest thing in the world. Like, I mean, I could,
Yeah. All
it's,
caps, baby.
yeah, all caps, like, oh, that's how you feel. It's like,
Yeah.
you text yelling at me. Oh.
Well, we're coming up on the witching hour. You've been very generous with your time, but I want to make sure that since I prepared so thoroughly on this, I want to make sure that I've covered everything, and make sure that make sure there's nothing I'm leaving out. I know obviously I left out your website, which that's important, but is there anything coming up soon that you need folks to know about, like right away?
Oh yeah, listen. The biggest thing is just go listen to the podcast. Like
Yeah.
definitely go listen to that. So it's the Vibe Controllers. So yeah, you can follow us on all social media platforms. You can follow me as well too. It's at Merc B Williams. That's MERC Williams. So definitely follow me on there. I usually post everything that I have coming up as well too.
Okay.
We'll start working on the website more than likely this summer. We got some amazing things that are going that we have like in the plans. I'm booked a lot, but it's a blessing and I'm grateful for
Yeah.
it. So thank you and shout out to everybody else, everybody that's been booking individually and collectively. So we're starting to get booked together. So that's absolutely amazing. I don't want to leave anything or anybody out. Happy 1 year engagement anniversary to my mom, who probably is going to see
Awesome.
this. So happy 1 year engagement anniversary to her on Valentine's Day, which is pretty dope. So I'll talk to her later on, so she'll see this as well. Um, but yeah, just definitely, keep up because we got a lot going on. Shout out to the Flamingo and Offbeat and a lot of other venues that we're going to be doing some collective things with. Funny for the Free is actually a creation of mine along with Rita and Nardo Blackman, which is a comedy open mic. We're going to start that back up as well too. 108 President Street, which is a venue that we use to do our hilarious homie shows with all three of us. We're going to start doing a comedy night there as well. Please get out and support Chuckles Comedy House as well too. Good people who are here in the city. So make sure if there's any shows, because I'm over there from time to time, or I just show up and go work out even if I don't have a show. So support Mike Town Comedy Club. It's another comedy club here in the city as well too. So support that if you see shows. And support everything that's Mississippi art and Mississippi in general, man. It's like, listen, I
Yeah.
tell people this is a great time to be an artist in the state of Mississippi. We it's booming from an artistic standpoint. You got the tech industry booming here now too. We got cannabis is booming as well too. So I know a lot of people who are happy about that. but
Yes.
uh, and again, and for you, everybody who's listening to this, make sure that you guys continue to support and be a part of anything that Marshall Ramsey has going on. Amazing, amazing, amazing artist and an even better person. And that's really what it's about, like being a really good and genuine human being. So I appreciate you. And I'm definitely a fan. Again, publicly, privately, we've said it, but publicly, you're absolutely amazing and genuine human being, man. I appreciate you so much for this.
You know, it'd be fun to do. I just had a brain thought, which is scary. We need to go down and go sit in cups or whatever, and I get a pad of paper, and you and I just start jotting down our observations, and I do doodles along with it.
Listen,
it's brutal, and it can actually be pretty funny.
It really would. I'm with it. Listen, that is.
I'll buy the coffee.
I would treat. You treated me to a birthday beer, so the coffee's on me.
So.
No, you treated me to a birthday. Actually, a lot of people treated me to birthday beers that night.
Folks, I got to tell you what, how he got the last 20 minutes of that thing done, because they were like, I mean, you could have made at least $15 off the aluminum from all the cans of beer that you got. I mean, it was
like they just kept coming. I'm like, listen,
a bunch of nice folk there.
They were. I was like, listen, I got to try to get through this show. These Susie B's are starting to hit, man. I'm like, and I got a chance to curse once, so I got.
I'm proud of you. You did it in a very effective, meaningful way.
Absolutely, but that's what you do. Listen, again, you just have to go with the flow of the energy, man.
Yeah,
it was an amazing night, and more amazing nights to come. So, and again, if you guys ever see me on a bill or see me on a flyer, and you want to come to a show, and I would love to see you guys there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that you scream at people that approach you, you're very nice.
I do scream.
No, you
because
don't.
I'm like, sometimes I do.
That is a complete polar opposite of the truth. I just told a lie right here on this Mississippi Stories, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry because it's not true. You're a great, and I should not ever lie about my guests. So,
no, I appreciate you so much.
Merc B, I got to tell you, this was a treat. It truly was. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it as well too, man. Listen, it's always good to have good conversation with good people. And so, yeah, again, I'm extremely and eternally grateful to you for this opportunity. So thank you.
No, this will be up in a few days, and I'll let you know, and we'll get links and all that good stuff up. But
it doesn't have to be the last time. Doesn't have to be the last time.
No, I hope to see. Yeah, no, I mean, I hope we do this again. I hope to get to see you soon, and thank you again. This was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you for watching this episode of Mississippi Stories. Make sure to subscribe to the Mississippi Today YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified every time a new video uploads.